Welcome to Tech Abilities, produced live in the Blind Abilities studio. I want to thank all of you for listening and for sending in your feedback. It's well appreciated. And if you want to send us some feedback, give us a call at 612-367-6093. Leave a message. We'd love to hear from you. Or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Be sure to check out the show notes for all the tech tidbits and news that we cover in this episode. So without further ado, let's get this show started.
For me, it was harder that, the teachers, you can see you don't need to learn Braille.
It's not necessarily so much about you and your comfort level with the cane. Some of the people's spouses or their family members weren't okay with it.
I'm totally blind, but when I see partially sighted people, newly blind people who A, aren't comfortable with their blindness, or B, even if you don't think you need a cane, bring it with you.
It's made by the blind, and he's been testing it with the public for about 1.5 years now.
But that's how they teach you, though, when you're in school, though. You have 3 M&Ms, and then you get 3 times as many M&Ms. So now how many M&Ms do you have?
They could have a little vest for the bot.
Yeah. Blind lady, move it.
They were talking to someone from one of the toilet paper companies, and they said that there's 3 ways people take toilet paper off the roll. One was they wrap it around their fingers, just 1, 2, 3, like that, or something.
Mm-hmm.
Another one's they fold. What was the third one?
Crumple, which is me.
Okay.
Because I'm super wasteful. I'm so wasteful.
I like your word better. I was going to say wad.
Yeah. I'm so wasteful.
So it starts out like this. Recorded live from the Blind Abilities studio. This is Tech Abilities. I'm Jeff Thompson, and with me in the studio, we got Serina. How you doing, Serina?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Actually, real good.
Do you still have your Christmas decorations up? I definitely do, because I'm lazy.
No, I took them. Well, okay, one of the trees is still plugged in outside.
One of the 27 trees?
Yeah, the lilac one. Because on New Year's night, I let that one roar. Also in the studio with us, we have Cheryl Macintosh. Cheryl, how are you doing?
Good. And I put up my Valentine's decorations today.
I love it.
Valentine's is my favorite holiday, so the more time I get to celebrate, the better.
You're like Costco or Sam's Club. They're already got their spring stuff out,
Yeah.
They have their Easter egg.
And from the West Coast, we have Katy Todd. How are you doing, Katy?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, how's it out there? You got any decorations up?
I only put one thing on my door for Christmas. It was the bells, and I still have them. The place is kind of small, so we have a tree, but we don't have room for it right now, so I didn't.
Great. My screen just went. It won't.
It's froze.
Get it a blanket.
No.
And Leslie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I did not decorate for Christmas. It has been quite a few years since I've actually been home during the holidays, so I gave up on decorating a long time ago. But my next favorite holiday is Mardi Gras. So I'm getting ready for that.
Ooh, I suppose you're down in that neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll translate that to you, Serina. Neck of the woods is like the vicinity of the area.
It's not one of those Midwestern terms. I know what neck of the woods means.
Oh, okay, strike that. Cheryl, you did something that surprised me a little bit. You had a guide dog, and all of a sudden you went to O&M school. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay. Well, it was a week-long program. It's an intensive, and it's focused on the specific things that you want to learn. So they try to take you to places that you're going to actually encounter rather than like a formulaic thing. Got to experiment with some different tech, different cane tips, different canes. It was pretty fun. And I got to meet a lot of really cool people. So that's always a benefit.
And what led you to get this training?
I just wanted to get better with my cane since I'm not going to have my dog. And those bots aren't coming out for a little bit. So
That's right. You're on the list or really thinking about that glide from Glidance.
yes, I purchased it. So
Ooh, that's going to be interesting.
I can't come up with a name for it though.
What is the glidance or the glide?
Glide is the product that Glidance is making. Glidance is the company, and it's a 2-wheel device that you push along, but it is able to steer. So it'll steer you around objects. It's like one of those little kids' toys, like a popcorn popper thing that they used to push around and go pop, pop, pop.
I was just thinking about that.
Interesting.
And on a previous episode, we had Amos Miller, the founder and CEO on Blind Abilities. So I'll let Amos tell us a little bit about Glide.
Glidance is the name of the company, and we are working on a new mobility aid. It's a new mobility aid that uses autonomous self-driving technology to guide the way. In a sense, imagine there are two wheels on the ground. There's a long handle extending from the wheels. You hold onto that handle. You nudge the device forward, and as you walk forward, the wheels are about 2 feet in front of you, and they begin to steer the way a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. They'll guide you around obstacles, keep you on a safe path. The device can guide you to targets that it can see, like dropped curbs, doors, elevators, and you can also program the device to guide you on a route, rather. Basically, the way it works is that it has a camera on the handle, and there's radars and various AI and robotics technology built into the device, all hidden away. It's very easy to use, so nothing to worry about, but it uses the latest in AI and robotics to help us navigate confidently. As we often say, it's not a dog, it's not a cane, it's not Superman either. It's Glide. It's a different kind of mobility aid. My background is in computer science. I've had an enjoyable career coding, engineering, building new products. I spent many years at Microsoft. Some of you might be familiar with my work on Soundscape while I was at Microsoft, which is one of the navigation apps. I'm also blind, so I lost my sight for retinitis pigmentosa in my 20s. And throughout my career, I've done all kinds of things, but I've always sort of come back to this question of how can technology and advancements in technology make a material difference to our ability to get around independently. I used to commute a lot. I lived in London. I used to commute across the city every day and looking for solutions, tried GPS apps and everything over the last 2 or 3 decades. And I really reached a sort of a moment of understanding that the cane is an amazing mobility aid. Guide dogs are amazing mobility animals. And when we build these technologies, we often really end up helping the people who are already out and about using their canes or dogs. But it turns out that there are a lot of people out there who are less confident and still rely on sighted assistance a lot.
You were excited about it, Cheryl.
Yeah, I know that I'm not going to be able to use it in all environments, especially like in the snow and everything, but we go to a lot of different places, and I think it would be really helpful. Like, we went several years ago to this conference center, but it was like this huge hotel, like it was like a city almost. And it was like, I think in situations like that, I think it would be really helpful, especially when there's like people everywhere, and not to have a dog, but to have the cane, but then to have that. And it's sort of like a robotic guide dog in a way.
Robot.
It's made by the blind, and he's been testing it with the public for about 1.5 years now, on about their 4th iteration. And I think next year, in the fall of next year, it should be released.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're projecting September release.
It'll be $1,200, right?
I think I spent like $1,000. It was 30% off until December 31st, so it's now 30% more. But there's also an app that you have to pay for every month. It's like $16 or something. But that's what's going to feed it. It's maps and everything. Because it does more than that. Like, if you go into like a coffee shop, if you tell it to go to the counter, it'll take you to the counter. So
Wow.
it's got some really useful things too.
I need them to do that demo in Denver because they reached out to me on social media. He is a social media genius, whoever is helping him market, because he is getting lots of like members of the blind community really excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they're doing demos all over. I'm like, get to Colorado because I do want to see it.
Denver is the place to go. Why the heck don't they?
Yeah, I don't know what maybe they're waiting for this summer because, it's not pleasant to be outside playing with that in the winter here, but I might reach back out to them and just say, because I'm one that would definitely have to see the demo and see if because that is something that I would love, is like going to a coffee shop and be like, where do I go pay? Or I'm standing in line. When is the line moving up? That's the most awkward thing.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to do with a guide dog. That's probably the worst thing with a dog for me.
Yeah, guide dogs will just go cut in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they do.
They're so rude.
Happy-go-lucky.
Mhm.
Well, They're coming out with a lot of robot things. There's another thing called the Lumo. Have you guys heard of that?
No.
No.
So it looks like a hoverboard with a head, and you can ride it. It's run by Android, and you can ride it places, and it'll guide you and talk to you, and you can program it and stuff. It's really cool. I saw one and rode it. It was neat.
Back to the Future?
What could go wrong? Like,
Oh, well.
was it hard to ride it?
So for me, I found that when I rode it without my cane, my balance was off, but once I had my cane, I was fine.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen a hoverboard, but it's like that.
I have. My son has one. It takes him a lot of balance to stay on it and turn and all that.
Yeah. It's really cool, though.
You can kill yourself on one of those things.
Yeah.
I feel like I have enough technical difficulties with my phone that I don't know that I'd want to deal with technical difficulties around something like that.
Yeah.
How much is the hoverboard thing? That just I'm so intrigued.
The Lumo is 1,800, I think.
Oh.
So kind of comparable to that other one.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's cheaper than refreshable Braille.
Good enough.
Which one?
Yeah, well, brilliant. What's that? They can get up to 4,500, can't they?
Focus is pretty expensive too.
Yeah.
That is just baffling to me.
I know.
Speaking of Braille, it was just Braille's birthday, 200 years.
Yeah, crazy.
The 4th.
Yeah.
Was it 200 years this year or last year?
This year.
Okay.
This is the 200th anniversary of Braille. Unless they do it like 0 to 100 doesn't really count in centuries. Does that ever screw you guys up?
Yes.
Yeah.
The 19th century is the 1800s. Wait a second.
That kind of work.
Who invented zero?
Oh, it's just like the whole math thing. Like, this sounds so dumb, but like my husband and I were like seriously talking about this, and we're like, huh. So like, 0 times 1, we all are taught it's 0, right? But if you have one thing and you don't multiply it, you still have that one thing. So like, I don't get it.
That's funny.
It only applies to numbers, not objects.
Yeah. But that's how they teach you, though. When you're in school, though, you have 3 M&Ms, and then you get 3 times as many M&Ms. So now how many M&Ms do you have? It's like, but if I had one in an M&M and I don't know. It's this whole thing that is just like, who came up with this?
And to all the listeners, I know we didn't warn you there was going to be math on this podcast, but who knows? Anything can happen.
There should have been a disclaimer.
Should have been.
Yes.
Yes. It's too bad the producer didn't do that. Jeez.
You could edit it in later.
Saw there was an accessible math app, though, if anybody wants to practice their math skills.
I got a question for you. I found out that PDFs on the iPhone work pretty good.
As long as they're tagged. Yeah.
You can open them up. But I also found out that if you use, Voice
Stream Reader.
Voice Stream. So I put it in Voice Stream Reader. You can go word for word, line for line, all the way down, all sorts of stuff. So I was excited about that. But on my Mac, now it's a subscription. So I can't read something. So I bring it down to the phone. Yeah, it's getting better. But I tried that Adobe Reader.
Yeah, I have that one.
I know. It's like, and then for premium, you can do OCR. And I'm thinking, well, geez, you have no accessibility built into it. Why would I want to pay money to find out?
Just throw it in Be My AI or Seeing AI and have it read it. The image ones, because then you wouldn't have to pay for the premium. Not that I'm against paying for things, but we have a lot of different ways to do things, which is cool.
I hear you. I don't want to spend, remember when people were cutting the cord for like cable TV and stuff like that? Now, here we are further down the line. How many subscriptions? You start adding that up.
We literally have every single streaming service that there is.
Yeah.
I cut all of mine off except for the ones that I have. Like, I get Apple TV Plus with my T-Mobile account, and I get Paramount through my Walmart account. And so if it's tied to something else and I can get it in conjunction with that, I have it. But if not, I just dropped it. I hardly ever watch TV, so it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
I do like Apple TV Plus, I have to admit. There's a show called Shrinking.
Oh, it's hilarious.
I've heard of it.
I've heard of that, but I haven't watched it yet.
It's very funny.
It's hilarious. I've been waiting. The last episode, we've watched it with a friend of ours, and we haven't gotten together to watch the last episode of season 2.
Yeah, they're just now in season 2. Yep.
Yeah, and it's awesome. Season 2, it used to be just funny. Season 1 was real funny. Season 2, they went a little deeper, and it reminds me of like The Last of Us or something. They got emotional and stuff like that. So it was a little bit better. It grows on you. So it's the same people that did.
Shrinking grows on you.
Yeah, Shrinking grows. Yeah, that's oxymoron, isn't it? Ted Lasso. That's the same writers did Ted Lasso, if you guys remember that show.
I actually just discovered it back in November. I was looking for something to watch and I was like, a friend of mine likes this. I'm going to check it out. And I binged watched all 3 seasons in 2 weeks.
Did you see the one where his sidekick,
Beard.
his show? Remember where he went on that trip? Basically a trip.
Yes.
That was awesome. It was like,
yes,
whoa.
It was crazy.
Well, this is the same writers. Harrison Ford stars in it, and it's on Apple TV Plus, and they do a great job with audio description and sound.
Nice.
Even the audio description comes through. It doesn't come through that one speaker over there, or like some shows do.
Oh.
They definitely do the surround sound for sure. Netflix is getting better at that too, because we're watching Squid Game, and that one's definitely 5.1, even with the audio description. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, Netflix, I think, are on the rise for that. They're coming out with some series and they're coming out with good shows. Audio described. I like that.
I'm excited that they're finally coming out with a new season of Severance on Apple TV.
That took a long time. Yeah.
It did take a long time. I just rewatched season 1.
What is it? The morning show?
I never finished the
get
most
into that
recent
one.
season on that one. I got bored with it this last season.
I'm excited for the next time they come together. Like, what are they putting them out every 2 years now? They come out with another version?
Seems like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Katy Todd.
Yes.
When you said you didn't put any decorations up, I thought all you put up out there are umbrellas.
Umbrellas.
People talk about the snow here. I don't know what it's like. Like in England, they say it rains a lot, but it didn't when I was there anytime. So what's it like out there when you say it rains a lot?
Like in the kind of the winter where we are now, it's just cloudy and kind of drizzly. So it's a very kind of like just kind of rainy, not sunny.
That's why grunge music started there, huh?
Yeah, Nirvana. It's not like Colorado where you get 300 days of sunshine. I miss Colorado a year.
Yes, we get a lot of sunshine. A lot of wind, though, too.
Yeah, true. But it was still like, even when it was cold, the sun would come out.
Yes.
I want to go to Colorado. My husband goes there all the time, but
it is awesome.
I haven't went with him, so he's actually planning on going there again soon, actually.
You should go. I used to live in Littleton. It was great.
My brother lived in Denver.
He's always going like to business trips, so it's sort of like not really,
Well, that's when he does the business and you have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they have been running like verbos though, so it's like it would be a little bit awkward.
Kind of like a mullet business up front.
Well, they do stuff like they. My husband always like takes his guys out to do like cool stuff. So like the one time they went and seen the Nuggets game, and I think that was the time that they won that year. And then the last time they went and saw the Broncos, or not the Broncos.
Oh, the Avalanche.
Oh, hockey.
Yeah, but we're Red Wings people, so it was really hard for him to like enjoy that game because my former brother-in-law is from Denver, so it was like this big battle between those two.
Oh.
I think the best thing I liked about Colorado was if you want to go skiing, you go up elevation wise where there's snowstorms, and then you come back down and you're sitting around the pool or the whirlpool. I mean, it's just steam's coming up and you're just sitting there. It's like everything weather wise is up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Washington is very mild compared to other places. We don't get a whole lot of extra. It's cloudy or sunny, doesn't get too hot except for the occasional day, which makes me sad because I love heat.
It was very nice there when I was in Seattle in September. We were getting ready to go on a cruise, and so we spent a couple of days there before the cruise, and I was expecting, cloudy, rainy, because that's what you hear about Seattle, and our 2 days there were very sunny and nice.
Yeah, you were there during the end of the nice time.
Those 3 days?
Yeah, pretty much.
Into the sunny season.
Right after you left, it started to rain.
Probably.
Kind of like in Minnesota, those 3 days that you don't have to have the heater on, and the next 3 days you have to start turning the air conditioner on.
And then the 3 days after that, you have to turn the heat back on.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it is in Colorado. It goes back and forth. Like it was in the 60s last week here, 50s and 60s.
Man.
It was 70 here yesterday. I had the air conditioner on, and then I never turned the heat on this morning before I left, and it was in the 40s.
Oh, burr.
And it stayed in the 40s all day. So when I got home this afternoon, my house was like 65 degrees.
Oh, man.
Is that good or bad?
That's very cold.
Oh, bad. I like heat.
Okay. I was just curious because when I was down, I would say I've never been to Mississippi. I've been to Alabama, but it's hot.
It is most of the time. And I always like to say we don't have seasons. We have summer and we have February. because that's kind of like, I can say you can probably count on one hand the number of days that it's below 30. And that usually happens either right around Christmas, sometime in January or sometime in February. We'll have 2 or 3 cold days, and that's it. Everything else is
I
usually
would
in the
be
40s.
okay with that.
I
would
love it. I am Southern for a reason.
My heart is Southern. I hate cold.
Mm.
I always say I was born 2 weeks late because it was snowing the day I was supposed to come into the world. And then the day they brought me home, it was 80 degrees. I said, see, I was waiting for warmer weather.
You're like, I'm not coming out there.
No, I'm staying right here. Let me know when it warms up.
No, I don't want to come out.
I got a little thought provoker here, and it has to do with negativity and positivity. If you're surrounded by negativity, it's easy to just stay put, not grow.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put yourself in an area where people are positive or receptive to your ideas, thoughts, and ambitions, you seem to grow. I find it in the workplace. I find it in all types of social environments, education and personal growth, and where you would least expect it, right in your family as well. I like to migrate towards the positivity.
Mm-hmm.
It drags down a workplace so fast. It only takes one.
Oh, yes, it does.
Some people are weird towards it, though. Like, whenever people ask me about being blind, I don't think of it as a bad thing. And then people are like, well, but you have to. I'm like, no, I actually don't mind it. I don't know. They think I'm crazy or something. It's like I get a negative reaction to my positivity.
Ugh, well, that's just because they don't know how they would handle it if they were blind. So they look at it like that.
It's even some blind people that do it, too. So I don't know. They just, I would.
Oh, they haven't accepted it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I tell people that losing the rest of my vision made me who I was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm so much better now that I can't see anything and I'm not distracted by my little bit of vision that I had. It's like I was finally free of it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't get that.
Mm-mm.
I hear that from a lot of partially sighted people. Like, I would agree that it would probably be harder to be partially sighted than totally blind.
You didn't have a community to belong to. The sighted people didn't understand what you could or couldn't see. And, at least when I was growing up, you didn't think of yourself as blind. So you were kind of stuck somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, and then a lot of them think you're faking it. I'm not faking it.
For me, it was harder that, the teachers, well, you can see, you don't need to learn Braille
Mm-hmm.
or you don't need to learn to use a cane. But I want to.
I don't think anybody that wants to learn Braille should be told no.
Absolutely. I remember I was getting on a bus. A cane was in my backpack because it folded down small enough. So I was ready to get on the bus. I asked the bus driver, what's the bus number? He says, it's on the front of the bus. I said, I'm blind. He says, how would I know? And I said, you got a point there.
But he could have just answered the question. Like, geez.
Right.
I know, but it just made me think because that was his impression. Or say you walk into Walgreens and say, do you have, it's in aisle 12, blah, blah, blah. Well,
That way.
that doesn't help me at all. But if I walk in with McCain, they might say, hey, just a second, Bob, to aisle 3. Let's go this way, and Bob will be down here. I think it's aisle 3 on the left. You got your scarlet letter B on you.
Mm-hmm.
The cane identifies me as someone who is blind or visually impaired. It's not my identity. No way. It just helps smooth out social interactions.
Honestly, as a I'm totally blind, but when I see partially sighted people, newly blind people who A, aren't comfortable with their blindness, or B, don't think they need it, if they're going to the airport, I say, even if you don't think you need a cane, bring it with you, because otherwise, it just get lost.
Even if just for identification.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it explains a little bit why you're weaving. What did Chuck say about how you walk, Serina?
I used Ira on the Meta glasses for the first time, and I did it when my husband, because he got a gate pass to walk me to my gate, but I wanted to just see how it would work. So he just followed behind me. And I was like, why'd they keep telling me to weave to this way or that way? And he's like, because you don't walk straight. I'm like, oh, good to know.
Yeah.
And in an airport, there's no spatial awareness there.
No,
it's
a big open space.
Pretty hard. Yeah.
It doesn't work.
With stanchions.
What's a stanchion?
Those cords that they use to make like lanes for people to line up in, the ropes.
Oh, those stupid tent. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One of the first days when I trained with my first guide dog, we were in the mall and we were just learning how to do that. And he just went straight like under one. And
oh, no.
Because he's just looking at his height,
Oh, wow.
My dog has no respect for them. She's just like, I see where we need to go. Let's go this way. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, but I can't go under that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. When you mentioned someone that's lost sight, I think that's where people sit on that fence because you show up a group of people who are blind and you're the sighted person. When you show up a group of sighted people, you're the blind person. So you get these multiple identities going on in a sense. And like Leslie said earlier, you don't have a community. You're struggling. And for people who want to do something, let's take woodworking. I used to do this all the time, and now they're visually impaired and they can't do it like that, so they get frustrated. It took you 20 years to get to the skill level that you were at. It might take you a good 6 months to start picking up the speed a little bit. Things just don't come back instantaneously like some of us that lost sight later on, or it was diminishing. You had to change the way you do things, and you went from magnification to JAWS, and it's a long road. I think when you're losing sight, it's a different story than someone that's never had sight. Everyone's got a different journey.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing that I encountered is that it's not necessarily so much about you and your comfort level with the cane. Some of the people's like spouses weren't okay with it, or their family members weren't okay with it, or so I thought that was sort of interesting too.
Yeah, that sucks too.
I've seen that. I've actually experienced that because a friend of mine, a husband and 3 kids, she's not used a cane in years, except for when she's at work. And so after I lost my vision, I got out of the car one day and broke out my cane, and her oldest daughter went, "What are you doing? Put that away." I'm like, "No." She's like, "You don't need that. We're here." I'm like,
Oh, wow.
but I want to use it. She's mortified.
Yeah.
That thought that I had, the negativity and the positivity of people that you're around sometimes, all it takes is just a change of proximity, and you might find that you're all of a sudden you're around people that love the cane and they want to go faster or they want to do stuff. It's so weird. Like, where do they keep the blind is what I was thinking when I first lost my sight. And then once I found them, I thought, hey, these are really cool people. I think it's part of it is acceptance that you're losing sight.
Yeah. And for the families too.
Yeah. I got a new iron rail for my steps out front of my house, and I put it on there, mounted the whole thing. It was really nice and stuff like that. And my stepdad, he's in his 80s. He goes, "Well, that's really nice of you to do that because, you know, of your and Lori's condition and stuff." It's only been, since 97, since this condition I have. And I didn't have the guts. I was going to say, "Well, that's fine. Yeah. Well, actually, I got it for you and Mom."
I was just thinking, I was like, I bet you actually were trying to help them.
Because my mom would step out and he'd have to turn around and hold his hand, and then she'd come down the steps and they'd go to the car, you know. I said, "We got to get a rail out there. This is silly," you know. He thought it was for us. But it seems like family, you think they get it, but when you really get down to it, some of my family don't really get it that much. But I have friends that totally get it, and they're awesome.
Yeah, I have somebody like that in my family. It's just crazy with like who, like, because I have a genetic condition, but nobody else has it. It's just me. And she's convinced. She's like, "Well, it had to come from your mom's side. It couldn't come from ours." Like, she's just like, doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah, what would it change?
Yeah, she's fun.
Irony of most genetic conditions, though, is that a lot of them, it has to come from both. Like, that's the irony, you know, like,
Yeah.
it's pretty unlikely that it was just one.
She went again. Well, so my sister's older than me and she doesn't have it. So it's just me, but she's just like convinced. I'm like, whatever. Like, just doesn't affect you. So just calm down.
It's kind of like my grandmother really pushed my aunt to discourage her from adopting for many years because she kept saying, "You don't know what you're going to get if you adopt. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get when you have a child of your own either." But my aunt waited 15 years to adopt a child because of that.
I bet you that same person wouldn't go get a rescue dog either, right?
Probably not.
You don't know what you're going. Toaster's going to go off and the dog's going to go berserk, and what's going to happen? Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting the journey we're on and all the things that happen. And sometimes these stories that we have inside our head is like, they just sit there, you know, like it keeps you wondering sometimes when I don't even think about the blindness on a daily basis. I never wake up in the morning and go, "Oh, crap, I'm blind again." It's the sighted people that interact with me once in a while that remind me I'm blind or low vision. Whenever that happens, like, "Oh, okay, here goes." And you pull up your elevator speech.
I see things so clearly in my head sometimes that I forget I can't see.
Mm-hmm.
When I go back and think about something, an activity or something, I see it so clearly in my mind that I'm like, did I see that? No, that was recent. No, couldn't have. Okay.
The girls at my class reunion love it because they're all 18.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my husband's like, you're gonna know me with having black hair because I'm never gonna see him gray. He's always gonna be this young guy.
There's some good things about that, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
So if you can relate to our thought provoker, negativity, positivity, migrating towards the positive, if you got a story to share with us, give us a call at 612-367-6093. And that's 612-367-6093. Love to hear from you. Cheryl, thanks for coming on the show. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
Leslie, you too.
Thank you so much.
And Katy.
Yay. Same here. Good to see you guys.
And Serina. Last but not least.
Gosh, why do you say my name like that? But it was a blast.
And one thing I thought of is we were talking about like identifying ourselves with canes or dogs, but like I wonder when I get my bot, like if people are going to understand what that is or what I'm doing, because it's not like a sign. It's not like a universal
That
thing.
will be interesting.
They could have a little vest for the bot or something that.
Yeah. Blind lady, move it.
And then cue our funky music, right?
And for more podcasts with the blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities, and give us a call at 612-367-6093. Leave us a message and let us know if we can put your voice on the next podcast. Drop us an email at info@blindabilities.com and download the free Blind Abilities app from the App Store and Google Play Store. That's 2 words, Blind Abilities. And from all of us here at Blind Abilities, through these challenging times, to you, your family, and friends, stay well, stay informed, and stay strong. I want to thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. And until next time, bye-bye.
When we share
what we see
through each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap between
the limited expectations
and the
realities
of
blind abilities.
The realities of blind abilities.
Blind abilities.